And welcome back, rally fans, to our WRC Sardinia preview. I hope I've got that pronounced right. So, Elfyn Evans leads the standings by still a fairly comfortable amount, but you feel now he's getting under a bit of pressure. So what do we think is going to happen in Italy by the seaside? Let's talk about it. So here we are at Rally Italia Sardegna here, but Sardinia in other places. This is obviously with courtesy of AG Rally, a lovely shot here. I tell you what, you go to any rally and any pictures you take of the cars and the countryside and the landscape is absolutely amazing. When I started off, obviously liking Formula 1 and track sports, which looks stunning pictures too, but rally, it's amazing. The pictures we get is amazing. Anyway, this is the shakedown is going to be this Thursday. Then I like it. The race starts here, and that's the race SS1 to SS6 on the Friday. Yeah, not many, but they are very long. Saturday SS7 to SS12, and finally Sunday we have the half day, which always upsets me. But SS13 to SS16. So here is a bit more of the shakedown. Here is a slightly more accurate version of it. Local time, this is going to be 9:01, 1 minute past 9 on the Friday, Vendredi. And we go all the way to SS6. So 3 stages in the morning, 3 stages in the afternoon. That's pretty much the same when we get to Saturday at 9:05 though. It starts with SS7 and ends at 17:31. And then Sunday, we have got, obviously, 13, 14, 15, 16. You know, the power stage is a Super Sunday, or whatever you want to call it. So moving on, this is the WRC entry list. We have, obviously, Evans, Rovanperä, Neuville, Ogier, Tanak, Formo, Katsuta, Pajari, Monster, Cesc, McLaren, and Sarderidis. Oh, I'm terrible. WRC2 entry list, which I'm not going to completely go into, but Rossel is most certainly there, and he's looking fairly tasty. He's putting the favourite, I think, Solberg, under a bit of pressure in WRC2. And as you can see, you can watch it, obviously, on Rally TV or in different countries. I think this is France, which has it here. But this is the important thing. Ladies and gentlemen. We've got Elfyn Evans leading on 118 points. Now, significantly, he's going to be looking over his shoulder, because do we have, and here's the big question mark, do we have an on-form Rovanperä? And that's what we need to know, because that's going to be really significant for Evans, because if this guy is on form, it's kind of like that nightmare is however fast you run, the person behind, monster, whatever, is slowly catching you. And Evans has to open up the road. And I've got an interesting article from Dirtfish I want to get into before we start with our drivers. So third is Ogier on 86 points. Fourth is Tanak on 84. Neuville is fifth on 78. I mean, you've got a kind of feel for the Honda boys. They've done not particularly good at all. Katsuta, 51. I don't know whether if you're a Katsuta fan, I can understand you feeling for him, but most of that, sadly, all being quite far down, is his own doing. Formo, again, very, very fast, but mistakes. Disappointing so far, I think, for Formo this year. Pajari in 8th, and then we got Monster in 9th and McLaren in 12th. Monster and McLaren just separated by 6 of those points. And obviously Cesc in 11th and Sarderidis in 12th with just the 4 points. Now, when we look at the manufacturers, so Toyota are leading on 258, Hyundai on 203. Toyota, I'm not saying they're comfortable, but they're not under a massive amount of pressure at the moment. M Sport on 72. And WRC2 Toyota apparently on 36. So the event winners, so far Evans have won 2 events, OJ's won 2, part-timer, and Rovanperã's won 1. Hyundai, and this is the significant thing, Hyundai have not won 1 rally. What is going on here? So this is the WRC2 challengers after round 5, but I'm more interested in the WRC drivers after round 5 with Rossel on 67. So, both done 3 events, and Solberg on 60. Gus Greensmith on 40. But I don't think Greensmith. It could maybe, but it's Solberg and Rossel. That's going to be really interesting between those two, and who's going to win. I wouldn't want to put money on it, but it's very much going to be interesting. Here are the teams: PH Sport 109, Toyota on 79, Iron Lynx on 32, and Talk Sport on 27. And then we're back to the beginning. So before we talk about the drivers and what I've done with the drivers, I put who I feel is under the most pressure going into Rally Sardinia. But this is interesting because it's essentially talking about Elfyn Evans and the pressure that's on him. Bear in mind, we had a lot of this when Thierry Neuville was opening up the road. And the same is now. Interesting. I mean, they put Evans' situation is therefore, few will envy because he's leading the championship, but at least he only has 6 stages to sweep rather than 10, which I think is quite interesting. The more typical schedule should hopefully help in that respect, Evans noted. But he's not pretending there's not a huge challenge ahead, particularly considering he had a really lacklustre Portugal performance. It was akin to Evans 2024, but this is Evans 2.0. This is Evans 2025, so we're not really used to it. But Evans has said we're still looking for some more performance on this type of rally, and with the limited testing available, it's not easy to find an immediate solution. He said, but we're going to give it our best, like always, and try to come our way with as many points as we can. And Evans' teammate, and this is the interesting, Seb Ogier knows the situation well. Obviously, he's one of the GOATs. And so they said, so what is your advice? And to Evans, and he said, I wish I could give him proper advice, but fight hard and try to do the best every single weekend. He said, I've been often also in situations where you come to rallies and you know your chance of wins are very, very small. Yes. And it's frustrating, but that's unfortunate. That's unfortunately, I would say, still unfortunate because everybody knows what I think about the starting the rules. I don't need to mention it again. And they had this is the frustrating thing about the WRC. They had the chance, just like the ERC, to do a fairly decent qualifying. I mean, make the shakedown, or maybe, don't have necessarily SS1 maybe on the Thursday night, but maybe have the shakedown and have qualifying like the ERC do. Much better, surely. But anyway, OJ says, but yeah, that's the way it goes for him. And I remember some weeks ago, now people were just like already thinking or celebrating that you have a massive lead and can now control the championship. Which is interesting to say the least. So let's get into our rally drivers then. And here we are. So what rally drivers are under the most pressure? Well, let's begin. I thought this was a bit of fun. What rally drivers are under the most pressure? So to make things interesting, we have listed the drivers who we feel are under the least amount of pressure to the ones that are under the most pressure. And we begin with one of the GOATs coming into Rally Sardinia. I mean, this guy's part-time. What has he got to prove? Absolutely nothing. But you have to say, potentially, one of the favourites going in. Although, what I will say, he's not been as impressive this year as he was last year at this point, I feel. Moving on. A guy who did really well, and I think, considering the car, the M Sport, I think was very much off the pace. But McLaren, I don't think he was under this much pressure going in, because of the solid job he did in Rally Portugal. Next up, we have Tanak. I mean, what an absolute amazing rally he had. Comeback, that's got to be one of the drives of his career. The Hyundais are under a little pressure because they haven't won a race, which is also why this guy's here as well. He is also under a little pressure, not as the world champion, the defending world champion, not doing as good as Tanak, I think, at the moment. Also, maybe not doing as good as people hoped. Adrian Formeau, few mistakes going in there. Is he trying too hard? There was all this pressure going into 2025, and everyone's like, you're going to win your first rally. I can't wait to see it. It will come. It will come. But when? It is when, not if. I think he just is trying too hard, maybe. Next up, we have Piari, who Toyota haven't really given put pressure on him, which is good, but he's not been as impressive as I thought he would be, which makes me a bit sad. Piari. And speaking of people under pressure, he's done a solid-ish job, but the pressure still mounts. There's still a massive gap between him and Elfyn Evans. At least that's the way I imagine Calais is going to see it. Anything but beating Evans in this rally, I think, is going to be a bit of a fail. And speaking of Evans, next up, he's always going to be under pressure now. We know that pressure and Evans don't necessarily go together, but we're hoping all the Evans fans is all this pressure, well, makes a diamond, excuse the pun, out of Elfyn Evans. I don't think he's going to win the rally. If he gets a podium, that will do very well. If he can get within shouting distance of Kalle Rovanperä, his #1 rival at the moment, he will do very well. Absolutely. So the three people that we feel are under the most pressure, this guy here coming in, once again, massive question marks for Taka. Is he going to survive the year? Yes, he probably will. But if you remember last year, he had a timeout. Will, though, try to sign him again next year? That's going to be the big question here. And someone I thought I never would say he's under pressure, but he is Martin Cesc. Why? Well, he had a very average rally last time out. He made a bit of bad luck, a couple of silly niggly mistakes, but he wasn't the Martin Cesc we've seen in Sweden or the rallies before. And if he wants a full-time drive for M Sport next year, I think he really has to look at beating both Munster and McLaren. And the guy under the most pressure, we feel, is Gregor Monster, who had a shocking rally. He's had a very average season last time out. Yes, he has won his first stage, but still, when I see articles about why M Sport have gone with basically two-page drivers, which you may say is kind of unfair, McLaren is doing. Yes, he's behind Monster in the championship, but this is the lead driver now in M Sport. And if you compare this to last year with Adrian Fourmeau, it doesn't really make for good reading or looking when it comes to the points. So there you go. We're gonna have to see. Anyway, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna move over to here and politely suggest that if you made it to the end, please give us a subscribe. That'll make us very happy. But until then, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you so much for watching, but above all else, stay safe.